shadows loom, we plant a seed. The sun comes up and the flowers bloom. Truth shall be freed. A journey unknown, from ocean sides to the center lines, we'll find the answers never comes up and the flowers bloom, truth shall be free. The treasure of truth can't be bought or sold. Why do they hide the ball? The lies which are spoken and stories told will be their downfall. Devil's advocates on the road, traveling for truth, a journey unknown. From ocean sides to the center lines, we'll find the answers never shown. Never shown.
All right, welcome everybody to Crimes After Dark on a colossal, screwed up freaking Wednesday, I think it is. Holy crap, what just happened? Streamyard was down for our entire team. Everybody was trying to get backstage, and we were all fighting and couldn't do it. And then I think when I finally got in, I think all of us started to join the stage live, so that was a cluster. So anyways, we're all together now, so that's good. Anyways, and it's funny because I had one backstage for just a moment, but he had his mic hot, and so people could hear something in the background there. So I had to kill that, and then he left. Had to go take a wicked piss. I don't think he's going to be joining us on camera tonight because I think he's got other stuff going on. He's going to mostly be monitoring from the sidelines. But I'll get Robin up here shortly. Robin, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing better now that we can actually be here.
I looked up and I saw you waving at me, but then I was realizing, wait a minute, you're on the live screen waving at me, and I can't remember if I was on the live stream waving back, but
I don't know.
I think we were only like 2 minutes late. It wasn't that bad. But,
yeah, it wasn't bad.
Scared the crap
oh
out
my
of me.
God.
Yeah, I think it was the rustling of the pea pads I had going on back here. So anyways.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It's good to be back. I am feeling better, even if the yawn doesn't make it sound like, but I'm feeling much better. Yesterday I was just wiped. I mean, completely wiped out. And I think it's actually more to do with I'm changing some routines, and I just overdid it the day before, and I was just completely spent. So anyways, it was I'm glad that you guys covered the show for me, Robin, and I know one was on, and I don't know if did you guys have any guests with you, or is it just the two of you?
No, we dialed just in, the two of us and all our peeps out here. We had a great crowd. There was like 250 of us. So hey, thank you guys for coming out last night. We appreciate it.
That's it. I'm just gonna log out. Who needs me? I'll just log out.
See ya.
See you later. Later. You got the show.
Don't you dare.
But anyways, no, we logged in towards the end of the show and heard you kind of wrapping up. We thought it was going to be kind of another. You think you guys wrapped up a little hair early, and we logged in trying to hear the last part of it, and you're like saying goodbye.
No, we actually went long.
Oh, did you? I thought it was like 7:30 my time, and I was expecting to go to 8, but maybe I'm losing my mind.
We were here till it was almost 10:30 my time, because the interview, if we would have quit right at 2 hours, it was only like maybe 10 or 15 minutes more of the interview, and we're like, we're gonna finish it. So
very cool.
But yeah, it was good.
Well, it's good. It's good to be back, and we don't. So here's one of the things, and it's kind of on my mind. Do we have a monologue? You have a monologue, don't you?
Yes, I do. Let me.
So we should probably do a monologue, because otherwise I'm going to get talking and we're just going to be here all night. So and maybe if I'm lucky, the monologue will be long enough for me to go grab some ice in my drink. So I'll be right back. You do the monologue. I'll put you on screen, and then kick us off.
Sounds like a plan. Just got to bring it up here. My computer is still being a little crazy here, but that's okay. Okay. Is it good to be alive in a den on a Wednesday night? It certainly is for me now that we're actually up and running. And good evening, everyone, and welcome to Crimes After Dark. Tonight, the lights are low, the microphones are hot, obviously, because one was on stage unexpectedly. And instead of turning the magnifying glass towards another crime scene, another timeline, another suspect, we're turning it toward ourselves, toward this community, toward the thousands of conversations, theories, arguments, documents, live streams, late night rabbit holes, and unanswered questions that have kept one case burning long after most headlines would have faded to gray. The Idaho Four. 4 young lives lost on a quiet November night in Moscow, Idaho. A small college town suddenly transformed into the center of one of the most intensely examined criminal cases of our generation. And somehow, years later, the gravity of this case still pulls people back, again and again. But tonight, we want to ask a different question. Why? What is it about Idaho 4 that refuses to loosen its grip? Is it the haunting timeline? The unanswered questions hiding between minutes on a clock? The witnesses? The digital evidence? The videos, vehicles, cell towers, DNA, court filings, photographs, interviews, rumors, contradictions, and mountains of public records that have given ordinary people an extraordinary amount to examine? Is it the competing theories, the controversies, the feeling that every answer somehow opens another door? Or did this case capture something that cannot be manufactured, predicted, or recreated? Because something unusual happened here. People didn't simply follow Idaho 4, they studied it, they debated it, they built timelines at midnight, they compared documents over morning coffee, they remembered street names, floor plans, timestamps, and court dates. Complete strangers became familiar voices around the same digital table. And eventually, Idaho 4 became more than a case people watched. It became a community people returned to. So tonight, we're asking the question that may determine where Crimes After Dark goes next. Can another case ever do the same? What would it take? A complicated timeline, a mystery buried beneath conflicting evidence, a case with enough documents to investigate instead of simply consume, a courtroom battle, unanswered questions, human stories we cannot stop thinking about. Or does the next case need something we haven't even recognized yet? Because somewhere tonight, there may already be another story unfolding, another case sitting quietly beneath the national radar, another mystery with layers nobody has peeled apart, another set of questions waiting for a community willing to ask them. And maybe we've been staring so long at one constellation that we haven't noticed another beginning to glow. The conversation isn't about telling anyone to move on from Idaho 4, far from it. It's about understanding why we never did. What did this case give our audience that others haven't? What makes you click? What makes you investigate? What makes you disagree, come back tomorrow and say, wait, there's something else we need to talk about? So tonight, we want you at the table. If Idaho 4 vanished from every headline tomorrow, if there were no new motions, no new documents, no new revelations, what kind of case would make you come back to Crimes After Dark night after night? What ingredients would it need? And the biggest question of all, is that case already out there? Pour the coffee, dim the lights, open your notebooks, because tonight, the mystery we're investigating isn't only Idaho, it's us. Welcome to Crimes After Dark.
All right, thank you very much for that. And yeah, so it was kind of funny because I was thinking about all these other cases, like people were talking about here. They're watching the Tupac trial, and I'm interested in that as well. And we've got that case with Lindsay that is intriguing some people. Whatever. We've got, of course, we've got so many cases, and yet. And yet we have learned on this channel, and a lot of us, like there's a whole bunch of us YouTube channels that cannot get, and at an Idaho 4 world. Yeah, Lindsay Clancy, thank you. And by the way, I do want to repeat what Robin said. This is not a show talking about how we're going to move away from Idaho 4. Idaho 4 is not dead by any stretch of the imagination, especially now that PCR has been filed, which many of us has been waiting for forever. But I can't tell you how many times I've said, well, why would I get into that case? No one listens to us on that case. And that's the thing. There are other channels who never touched Idaho 4, and they're doing great in other areas because they didn't touch Idaho 4. But what is it about Idaho 4 audience that once somebody talks about Idaho 4, that is all they want to hear? And Idaho, and here we are 4 years later, and we still have an audience that only listens to Idaho 4 and nothing else. And again, this is not meaning to beat ourselves down or beat us over the head. What we're trying to figure out is, what is the magic sauce about Idaho 4 that makes people so obsessed that after 4 years, even after a guilty plea, people can't let it go? And there's a certain audience. It's a large audience that literally say, I have no time for anything but Idaho 4. And how is it after 4 years, we're still in that position where there's no time for anything but Idaho 4? So yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we've been talking a long time. I scout other cases. I've never found a case that has as much mystery. The closest there's, by the way, there are some things I want to tell you about some other cases real quick. There are some intriguing things about other cases, but it's not to the level of Idaho 4. This is ridiculous. Again, I think, Robin, you said it maybe in the monologue that one wrote. Every single time some new document comes out or a new body cam is released, it adds new questions. There is no case I can think of that's like that. Every single time you see a document, you're like, well, wait a minute, that's not what you said. Like, this case has been nothing but lies from the beginning, it seems like. And every time something comes out, it leads a new layer to unpeel.
I think that's part of it. I don't recall any other case where so many people are getting body cams and documents and photographs, and people are writing books about them. I mean, we've had how many books come out within the last couple of years?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that might be part of it.
It certainly is, and it makes me think, like, a lot of the other cases, when you go after the body cam footage or documents, there's no mystery there. You get exactly what you expected to see. This case, we don't get what we expect to see because there's something going on with this case, and maybe maybe that's just the answer. By the way, we had somebody come in, and I'm going to be careful when I say this because otherwise I'll lose a gasket and treat somebody shitty, and I don't want to treat somebody shitty. Somebody came in here and said, "You pro burgers." I don't know how many times I have to say this. This is not a pro burger channel. And if you don't know that because you just dropped in my channel, don't come fucking shit on my channel and don't know what you're talking about. We don't give a shit whether Kohberger did it or not. That's not a pro burger. A pro burger is a person who worships the Brian Kohberger, and we don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck whether Brian Kohberger is guilty or not. We want to know what happened. So if I get super pissed off when you call me a pro burger, and maybe that was just an epic troll, and if so, congratulations. I want to put my epic troll image on screen. But if you don't know my channel enough to know that I'm not a pro burger, then you shouldn't fucking come in and shit on somebody's channel without knowing what they're all about. So I really. Enough said about that. I have an anger spot in me when someone calls me a pro burger. I don't know what to tell you about that. Get whatever. So yeah, go take a long walk on a short pier is the nice way of saying that. So anyways, so let me tell you some other things. Like, I mean, again, let's talk about some of these other cases that should have been really interesting that didn't pop off. Again, how is this case much different from a lot of way people feel about Richard Allen's case in Delphi, Indiana? There's a crap ton of people who think that Richard Allen was wrongfully convicted, mentally broken in prison, and may never be the same again may be beaten and killed as a child murderer in prison, because that's how people, handle child murders. And yet there's a lot of reasons to believe that he wasn't the person on the bridge that day. He wasn't the person that murdered the girls. And that should be a massive mystery. And we are in a position where that case is being appealed. They've made an appeal attempt, and a court's going to hear that very shortly. And our audience, unfortunately, and I'm not picking on our audience, but our audience doesn't seem to really care that much. Like if I do a video on Delphi and about the appeal, it mostly falls on deaf ears. It's like 1/10 of the audience views it compared to an Idaho 4 case. I could have nothing to say about Idaho 4, put Idaho 4 in the title, and we'll have 10 times the views on it. So it's a very difficult thing. And again, Richard Allen's a perfect example. The case, by the way, and I felt it was going to be a monster case, and nobody seemed to go along with it, which was the shooting of Judge Mullins in Kentucky, in Letcher County, Kentucky, by Sheriff Steins. And I said, holy shit, that case is way bigger than you imagine. That, you don't just go shoot a judge in the judge's chambers without there being a bigger story. And there is a bigger story. And nobody seemed to give a rip, it seemed like, at least for us. Now, again, maybe some other channel that covers it exclusively is doing very well. But here's something I learned that was shocking, Robin. I don't think I shared this with you. The defense rests from Australia, who's been covering that case a lot, right? She sent me what appears to be a shocker in a way. It was a TikTok video by Mickey Stein's wife, and it said, what if he'd been trying to say something for years and nobody would listen? What if he was threatened? His wife's now dropping hints that Mickey Stein's had been trying to fix a bigger problem, and they threatened him, and that's why he lost his mind, and that's why he shot the judge. All the things we said was probably happening. It looks like maybe his wife is now putting out a little teaser, like, what if that's what happened? Now, I don't know if she's just hearing what we've been telling her, or whether she's got her own reasons for thinking. I don't think she has her own reasons, but it was like, wow. Now she's even saying, what if this is something much bigger than you think? But yet we can't seem to. And here's the thing, like, I don't mean to be sounding arrogant, but I feel like I can tell a pretty good story. I feel like I can make something other than Idaho 4 be worth listening to, but you wouldn't know it from the numbers. So I want to ask you as an audience, why is it do you follow this channel only for Idaho 4? Or let me know if I'm wrong. If you follow this channel for more than Idaho, because here's the other thing, Robin, I'm going to give you a chance to talk. I swear to God. Somebody just recently said to me, oh, yay, you're talking about Idaho 4 again. And I'm like, what's my choice? If I talk about anything else, everybody shuts off the stream and goes watch some other channel that's covering Idaho 4, because I feel like it's not what we're doing wrong. It's just the audience. The audience wants nothing but all day long, 24/7 Idaho 4. So correct if I'm wrong. Sherry Urban here says she believes Richard Allen got the shaft. I agree. I think he got the shaft. I think it's a huge story.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. And
Ellen Greenberg should have been way bigger. Yeah. And we tried to touch on some of these cases. We did. And look, actually, to be fair, the biggest video this channel has ever had by far isn't an Idaho 4 video, surprisingly enough.
No.
Do you remember what it was?
It was Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk. Yeah, Charlie Kirk.
Yep.
I hit a video right after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and it had all the right elements apparently, and it exploded by far beyond anything we've ever done. And then I tried to follow it up with, okay, now that people are interested in Charlie Kirk's assassination, it died. it just died. So I got lucky one day, I guess, with a good take, or it was because it was the hot topic of the day. But yeah. So I'm looking for the chat still. What do you have thoughts, Robin, about the whole phenomena of Idaho 4?
I think it's just the whole mystery and the level of corruption that many of us can see. And there are elements of corruption in many other cases. So, but I also think it's that we're kind of seeing so much unfold in real time. And I think that for some people, it is just, just, I don't want to call it addicting. I think it's just captured everyone's attention so much, because we're seeing so much play out like almost daily, you know?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, and that's, and that is, and again, you definitely can't walk away from Idaho 4 because PCR has been filed. And so now you have to wonder, will he get a shot at the trial that everybody thought he should have had? A lot of people in mainstream media are still saying there's no way in hell Brian Kohberger's not going to get a hearing. He's not going to be another day in court. This is what every criminal does, is whine and complain about how they didn't get a fair trial and blah, blah, blah. It's not the same, people. And I don't understand why mainstream media is continuing to try to tell you that this is just what prisoners do. This is a completely fucking different animal, which again is why everybody can't let go with it.
I think it's going to go to trial. And I think it's because of Hitler. Because I think Hitler wants to see this thing through. I don't know why I get that feeling. I have no reason, there's been no inkling of that or whatever, other than the fact that he could have just said no, right? I mean, he didn't have to, but he made sure that an attorney was assigned to Brian. And, so I don't know. I just have a hunch that, he was pissed off in the beginning because he was expecting it to go to trial. As we know. So I think for maybe just that one particular reason, that Brian will get a trial.
Yeah, and I mean, and on a personal level, and I mean that not from the channel, but from a personal level, I want to see it go to trial because I have a lot of questions, and I live close enough that I can be in the courtroom, and I plan to be there to see it play out. And here's the thing: unlike any case I've ever followed, I know this case better than any case I've ever followed. So when I get to the courthouse and if there was a trial, I'll be like, oh my God. Like none of this other stuff, because that's what's going to drive me nuts. I'll guarantee you a lot of stuff that we know won't even make it into the courtroom. A lot of stuff we know.
Yeah.
It'll drive you nuts going, oh my God, the jury didn't get to hear this. They didn't get to hear that. Why didn't they get to hear those things? Because we're going to know a lot of stuff that the jury is just not going to be allowed in the courtroom.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's just a lot of fascinating stuff with this case. I mean, yeah, you have drama around, like one had just said about, you have a defense expert calling out the defense attorney and vice versa. Yeah. I mean, so it has elements in a way of like reality TV.
Yeah, right. Which is, again, maybe the answer to why this won't go away. And yeah, the Tupac thing. Here's what's funny about the Tupac thing. I got rehooked into the Tupac murder before the trial happened because of P. Diddy. Because P. Diddy was long rumored to be involved in that situation. I remember Reggie, I think it was the cop that was also security for Death Row Records or whatever. I remember all that kind of stuff from way back, and I was waiting for that to all come out during the P. Diddy trial. I'm like, oh shit, this is going to reopen the Tupac case. I don't even know who's on trial for the Tupac thing right now. And is any of the stuff with P. Diddy going to come out? Because I haven't been watching. I watched a little bit of the trial, and I was like, I can't even tell who the defendant is. Like, I was just watching Courtroom talking about a case I know all about, but I didn't even know who's being charged. Who?
EPD is the guy on trial.
I didn't even get to see him on the stand in the courtroom, I don't think.
Yeah, S has been following it, and I know one has been giving her updates and stuff. So, yeah. TPD, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm interested to watch it, the trial, but and maybe I will, but see, I can't divorce it from what I know about the P. Diddy story when I was, because I was researching P. Diddy before I did YouTube. Before he got into that, and I thought, oh my gosh, like this P. Diddy thing's gonna be huge, and really now it's kind of a non-thing because he had his day in court. And anyway, so from what it's worth, I'm still watching the chat. I do have people who say, we've got a fair number of people who say they come and watch us regardless of what we're talking about, and yeah, I just we haven't figured it out. That's for sure. We haven't figured it out because I would like to mix it up a little bit. because here's what happens. This is the inside thing that Robin may laugh about in one, but every single day they ask, what's the topic tonight? And it's always expected to be Idaho 4. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about Idaho 4 every single day if there's not something new, because all we do is Idaho 4. But what other topic is there? Because if we put anything else on the thumbnail but Idaho 4, nobody will show up. So I don't know what the
well, you already know my answer to that.
I know you got to take the lumps.
That's right. We do what we do, and our peeps who enjoy us for us will come watch us no matter what we're talking about, and that's all I know. That's Yeah.
Here's a feeling that expresses how a lot of people. I almost know less than I did 4 years ago with Idaho 4. Yeah, I get it. Too much abundant fuckery and no answers. And I was appalled to hear Bill Thompson say what evidence that they would use against BK. They have none, for fuck's sake. Yeah, well said. I was stunned as well. Your Honor, the state's case is going to be different than you've heard for the last 3 years. We can't place them at the House. We can't. Fuck, I was just like, why are we taking a plea deal? Like, you can't even prove anything. Anyways.
And this is something we have done, is talk about how other cases. Yeah.
Richard Ramirez's case is so, see, that's the thing. That's the question. Some of these cases, while nationally interesting, are so old and so many shows have been done about them. Does anybody care about Richard Ramirez anymore? I don't know. Like, I'm studying, by the way, I've been doing Chaos, looking into the Charles Manson murders. I didn't have any clue. JJ from State of the Deep turned me on to the book Chaos, and I just resumed reading the book Chaos for people because I was about 5 chapters in and kind of stopped. And it's getting more crazy as I go. All kinds of shit. Did you know, Robin, by the way, did you know that the lead prosecutor, the district attorney who's prosecuting the Manson murders, and it looks like he did, if he got people to lie on the stand in a capital murder case, that the district attorney himself can face capital murder charges himself, because it's essentially trying to put somebody to death for something they didn't do or rigging the jury. And so the district attorney himself could have faced the death penalty for having people get on the stand and lie in a death penalty case. Holy shit. Like, California's got some crazy laws. I was like, wow. And that leads to the, there's some moments in the book that they're like, holy shit. If he told people to lie on the stand, of course he's dead now. I think Bugliosi died. I can't remember when he died, but I think he passed already. So I guess he'll never face his day in court on that. But yeah, I mean, there are old cases. Even the O.J. Simpson case, when the new documentary came out on O.J. Simpson, there was shit in the O.J. Simpson case I had never heard before. So there's lots of cases with lots of mystery, but it just it's hard for us. It's hard for us to get our audience to go with it and follow along with other cases. So I'm just looking at the chat to see what you guys are saying. Oh, Kathy's Indie Zone's here. Kathy, you should come up and join us, because
that's what I was just going to throw the link out for.
Love the Chaos book. Great stuff. Everyone should get it, and we should discuss that for sure. So for me, so here's the thing, Candy Mag, this is another question I have to ask. So I like doing book reviews and giving commentary on books. And I did the entire book, When the Night Comes Falling, by Howard Bloom in the Idaho 4 case. I also did the entire book, An American Sickness, in the Luigi Mangione case. I've also started a couple of books like One Nation Under Blackmail in the Charlie Kirk case, but that didn't start going. It started to get too deep. And the Chaos book. And now I'm doing one on the Alex Murdaugh thing. So I do a lot for members only, because, and that's the thing, I feel like those would be interesting conversations for the public to listen to. But when I put them public, they absolutely crush our channel. And then that teaches YouTube that nobody likes our channel. And then people are losing interest in the channel. So I've got large book reviews that are chapter by chapter, a chapter of me losing my ever-loving mind and shouting at that nobody sees except for members. So great for members, and so the Chaos book is very, very cool. I'm so glad that people talked me into reopening the book Chaos, because it has been. Yeah,
I know. Essie kept telling you, don't stop. I know. Because she's been following that for a long time.
Oh yeah, I'm glad everybody finally kicked me in the ass enough to do it. But hello, Kathy, how you doing?
Hey Lee, hope you're feeling better. Hey Robin, hey Juan in chat.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make the point that don't just think it's us that feel
I know.
confused with every document that gets unsealed. Kohberger himself said in his out-of-court statement of July 26th that preceded day before, he basically said he's confused with the unsealing of every document. And he just said the secrecy of this case is why he wants a trial.
Yeah.
So it just, but in my opinion, Lee, there's no other case like this in terms of, as Robin was saying, things are being unveiled in real time. We're learning so much. I think this case is going to go on for at least the next possible 4 years it will take to get it to the Supreme Court, if it has to go that far.
Do we have the energy to talk about Idaho 4 every night for 4 more years?
No, I think that it's going to be, just looking at post-conviction relief, Lee, I'm going to say I put out a couple of videos this past week that I thought were pretty interesting. The Rodney appeal, the $17.5 million verdict that Upchurch got hit with. He's appealing that, or he is trying to get it set aside. Okay. I have like 74 views of that.
Isn't it? It's
just related, hundreds, thousands of views. It's what the people want.
Yeah. It's the same phenomenon. I've had videos that took me a long time to produce, and I was really excited about it, and it was like crickets when I put it out, because if they don't click on it, they don't watch it. and get it, like, you have to, like, some of us understand a little bit about the YouTube business. So what happens is, because YouTube knows our audience is an Idaho 4 audience, then what it does is it takes any new video and it sees, how does this video, your new video, play to people who like your channel? Well, the people who like my channel are Idaho 4. So it puts out something about anything other than Idaho 4 to my thing, and my audience is like, I don't watch that. And so it just dies. They don't even give me a chance really to go to the public to say, well, how would somebody who maybe already follows that case like my take on the case? That's like, we don't even get past out the gate, because they show it to my people first, and my people say, I don't care about that case. So like, well, how about putting me in front of people who do care about that case and see if they like our stuff?
That would be good if they could do that, because there are plenty of people who are still following the Long Island serial killer case, because there's new shit happening there. They're delving into the Asian doe. They're delving into some of the other cases around Long Island. I mean, Ray Tierney has opened up a whole brand new cold case unit there. So there's still a lot happening. They found potentially, Josh Zeman found a secret Craigslist account, possibly belonging to Rex Heuermann. So, called Long Island Andy. So I mean, there's still stuff happening around that case, So there's to talk about all kinds of other places,
right? And I mean, even in, like, and here's the thing: I don't know if people will be interested or not, but in Heuermann's case, there were people saying that his death count really could be in the hundreds over a whole bunch of states. So him pleading guilty to a handful of murders in New York shouldn't be the end of the story. He may be one of the most prolific serial killers that our country has had, but will people care to get into the weeds and go, oh, maybe he was the one that did the bodies in Alaska, maybe he's the one that did the bodies in Vegas, and maybe, will people keep going on, and we'll be talking about new things attributed to Rex Heuermann for the next 20, 30 years. So I
was very excited to hear that you are covering chaos, but I didn't know that. I didn't know you were, because I've read Chaos and I've watched interviews, and I want to learn more about that. I didn't know you were covering it, Lee.
Yeah,
I get notification you're covering Idaho 4. I must have missed that one.
Well, again, it's members only content, because whenever I put it out to the public, they die, and it's kind of funny because I feel like there's a lot of stuff I could make public instead of leaving it members only, but I feel like it just would die. And when it's members only, it doesn't hurt the channel. Like if only 20 people watch it and it's members only, it doesn't hurt the channel. But if I put it public and 20 people watch it, it hurts the channel badly. So but Chaos has been good, and I it's funny because I started it like 5 months ago, and I did it hot and heavy for a while, and I watched the numbers because it's members only, so it's a really small subset, but it was like 40 people watched the first one, and then 20 people watched the next one, and then 15 people watched the next one, and then like 5 people, and I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to keep doing it for 5 people, which I should have, because really I'm learning the case by reading the book myself, whether people, but
Right.
my mind tells me, well, I can read it in private and be done with it a lot faster
Right.
than if I'm making videos and telling people about it. Having said that, I learn things by teaching it to others. So doing a video and explaining it in plain English is how I learn the cases really well.
Yes. And
The
people
difference-
benefit from that, Lee. People benefit greatly from that because you have a unique ability to talk about things in layman's terms, things that are important, but you're able to, explain it to people in terms of that they can understand. For people like me, who I'm not a legal scholar, but yet I've learned a lot from you because
Yeah.
you're able to teach. You're a very good teacher. So yeah, definitely.
Thank you for that.
Mhm.
It's
The thing is, though, as a content creator, we only have 24 hours in a day.
Right.
Right,
Exactly.
So much work that goes on behind the scenes to produce. I mean, my videos are typically short. They're 3 to 5 minutes typically. I keep it real short. Number one, people are going to get lost if I start going into a lot of the legal jargon. You want to keep it as light as possible and give people the information to then do their own research. But if I'm spending 3 hours a day on like a 5-minute video or 2
right.
I mean, what other time do you have to do Idaho 4 or
Right.
to, spend time with your family and do other things that you need to do during a day? There's just that. And then you start losing, I think that you lose audience too. They will go to the ones that do. I mean, there are people that are out there 24/7 that are covering hours upon hours. To me, I think it's overkill. Not to throw shade at anybody, but get the information out there, engage in a great, which why I love your channel so much. You put the information out there, you get to the bottom line, you engage in discourse, and then you move on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like Kohberger said, he's confused with every single item that, and I just did a video. He stopped unsealing documents. There's nothing unsealed, and there's not an order to unseal anything for 24 yet. So, I mean, this case is such an enigma. It's like an octopus that has tentacles that goes in so many different areas, with what Robin has very eloquently talked about, our Constitution right in the center, and just the beating that the First Amendment took in this case.
Yeah. And it is a great case, and I don't want to lose we're not planning on moving away from the case at all, but it would just be nice to add in a little bit for a break, because here's the thing. Some people have said before, when we do something else, some people have said, oh my God, it's nice to have a break from Idaho from time to time. And I feel like we need to find a way to break it up a little bit, so that maybe, part of the night is Idaho 4 and part something else, so that we can start kind of giving some people some space to breathe but you had a good point, Kathy. Like, there are streamers who will turn on and stream 5-8 hours at a time on Idaho 4 every single day and have audiences that stay there for like the whole fucking 8 hours thing. Like, how do you compete with that? Like you said, I mean, you put together 3 or 5 hours of work and put out a 3-minute video, but somebody else can turn on the microphone and just talk for 8 hours straight without doing. They wouldn't necessarily have to do anything ahead of time. Just turn on the microphone, start talking about it, and have an audience all day long. So, it's
Ooh, Juan. What do you feel about well, first and foremost, Juan, much like the Fry moving and storage U-Haul truck that had Pennsylvania on the side, 50 states in the country, it would have to be Pennsylvania. Juan, I would love to have a conversation when you're able to be up here, and congratulations on your promotion and everything that you're doing. You shine as law enforcement. I wish all law enforcement were like you. But it goes back to my theory and my concerns about the dog wasn't permitted to be there. You had the canine officer who left the rug sniffing dog on Main Street, having left a job searching a car. Smith and Snyder were the two. They take off, they leave the dog. We are learning now, just recently, information that was withheld from us, from JD, saying Coca-Cola was used by one of the victims supposedly, and there was a very scary rug a dealer, an older person. You start to put together all of the elements of things, and you start to say, possibly, was there? And now you see Sigma Chi in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and that was a big one. We played it the other night for a few minutes. It was kind of funny because somebody asked me, "Can you talk about it?" And I'm like, "We did talk about it. I opened the show with the district attorney in Pennsylvania talking about Sigma Chi being involved in running cocaine and how this is a national problem. It's all over. He said there's not a university in the United States that isn't dealing with that problem. And he talked about controlled buys, where they would do buys to try to buy. So like all of it relates to like the theories are in Idaho 4. Was that a controlled buy gone bad? Did somebody work with law enforcement? Did Sigma Chi have people watching the house? Is that exactly the thing that they just told us from the national stage in Pennsylvania? Hey, this is a problem. And fraternities are running cocaine through universities everywhere in this country.
Here you go. That might be a dual case to introduce the Pennsylvania case via Idaho 4. You had a member of Sigma Chi who was one of the victims. You have allegations that I think was intentionally withheld from the public, that there was allegedly per one of the victims' significant others' acts using Coca-Cola of a scary rug dealer. The fact that the canine was kept away, the fact that the canine officer found a bag with some substance and took photographs and still didn't bring the dog in, and then segue over to Pennsylvania. What's going on there? I think that's going to be a big case.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm starting to put a tickler together to try to remember this. I got to start finding updates on it, because you're right. That case is going to be a rabbit trail to chase about the nationwide problem of drugs moving through fraternities and sororities across the country. And it's all related, in my opinion, even though technically this is supposed to be not about that.
For going back to Idaho 4, what your topic is, which I think is an excellent topic. And I was actually editing one of my 3-minute videos for the past 3. And when I got that, I said, I've got to go over and see what this lot's talking about, because this is amazing. I think this is going to, he's going to get relief. I truly believe that.
I do too.
As well as I do, as you do, Lee, you do, Robin. You've been following it from day one. He ticked all of the boxes. Now, was his petition stellar in the condition that it needs to be in order to get that evidentiary hearing and potentially trial? No, that's where his attorney comes in. And unless the two of them drop the ball significantly with this amended petition, I don't see where he's going to be denied relief. Either I'm hopeful, as Robin is saying, and I agree with Robin, I don't think Hitler had anything to do with these plea deals. He can't. I think it was the two sides, and now we got to find out if he was shut out, if he was forced, if he was coerced. I've seen evidence of him being coerced in the manner in which the waiver of constitutional rights was filled out. It was scribbled. It was like he didn't know Hitler. It was on him. He should have gotten someone in to make sure that he was mentally competent to sign away his rights. It's like Turvey said, how do I know what I don't know?
Yeah.
I think he's going to get relief. I hope it's in a trial sooner rather than later, so that we can get to the bottom of everything here as the public, which we have a right to do.
By the way, I want to say you brought up a good point, and so I looked it up while we were talking. So excuse my rudeness if you heard me typing when I was doing this. But on screen, did you realize? Maybe you already knew this, and I didn't know this until I just found out. Let me remove this. Is that Pennsylvania has created a page specifically because of the high public interest in this case. So this is the just recently announced bust at Sigma Chi, and they've created, it's so much public interest, they've created a special page for people to track the documents in it. So it's happening right now. And here's the problem. There's going to be like 12 to 14 people who are going to have independent trials. There's a lot of things but here it is. Here's the names of people and the criminal complaints against the people who've been arrested. So yeah, I'd like to start digging into that. I'm ready to start.
Well,
here's another common note. You know the only other one that they have like this in the unified judicial system of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Commonwealth versus Kohberger. So there you go.
Yes,
there is another connection. Who's going to make the connection between these two cases? I think you did, Lee. I think you did.
Yeah, we did. We proved a lot in that case, and Essie and I are in Pennsylvania, so we could do little boots on the ground.
I'd love to see Robin going in. Of course, they don't have cameras in the courtroom there, but I would love to see Robin and Essie walking in and out of the courtroom.
And I already started.
What is that? Is this Monroe County or no? Oh no, it's Penn State.
Yeah, it's Penn State.
But what's funny is I started to get familiar with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania because of Luigi Mangione, because Luigi Mangione has a case in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania as well. But yeah, I'm ready to start digging into this. I mean, look at that. There's all kinds of documents ready to start getting into it. In fact, we could do it for part of tonight's show and do it live. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Or we can do other things. But yeah, this one is an Idaho 4 adjacent case, because how do you not have the allegations? Again, I don't need to say it a million times, but I swear, I think they were watching the house. They know it was a drug house. They knew the drugs went through there. I think there's a drug element to this that makes way more sense. There was all kinds of talk in the Idaho 4 case, all the talk about who the cocaine dealers were, where Kaylee got the cocaine from, and none of that shit made it into written reports. We had to find it. Like they keep. Body camera footages and interviews came out and said, well, we put the report side by side with what was said, and they talked for 20 minutes about cocaine and cocaine dealers, never made it into the report. Why?
I know. Right. No, they intentionally, and you know what? I'm going to throw this out there. I was always confused why Detective Brett Payne, the author of the Affidavit of Probable Cause, hid the name of the private driver, hid the name of the DoorDash driver, hid the name of the medical examiner, but published JD's name in full, not once, but twice. Now, this was the Affidavit of Probable Cause was unsealed beginning of January 23, when there was enormous interest. What the heck happened at the 4 college students and everything? They published JD, and he was also suspect number 1, we found out recently. So is this any connection? Because he sort of told them, hey, Coca-Cola, Kaylee, real drug dealer. Oh, and we get a canine in order to deal with the growing drug problem in Moscow, is what the Moscow Police Department went to the city commission late 2021. They get Ragnar. Snyder and Ragnar go to training. It's like a month's training, I think, in Indiana in the spring. The dog is delivered. He's deputized as a member of the Latah County Sheriff's Department as well as the MPD, and they left him out of this scene. Why? They didn't want to have the dog jumping around on body cam.
Right.
I imagine that.
Yeah. You don't want to be hitting like all the drugs. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm very excited to see what you guys do. That's going to be amazing to see what, how you cover this case. I don't think I'm going to have time to do it because I'm just wrapped up in this Kohberger versus Idaho. There's 1,000,001 things to find out about this case, but I'd love to see what you do with this case, Lee.
The which one? Which case? The Pennsylvania one?
The Idaho 4 case. Pennsylvania style.
Yeah, Pennsylvania style.
yeah.
Redneck style.
That's Robin, what we are. Come on, Robin. Of all states, Pennsylvania, and of all fraternities, the Sigma Chi. I mean,
right. I know.
How many coincidences can there be in life? We got the undercover car. The undercover car that looks so suspiciously like suspect vehicle, described as it's feet away from the front door. Lee's theory, possibly watching the house. I mean, how many can win? The 8458 and the 8548 phone. The 8548 phone happens to belong to the chief of police of WSU, who interviewed Kohberger, mentioned tracked in the PCA. We have 2 officers from WSU at LE turning in Kohberger's car. We have the officer who did the hit on Kohberger, WSULE Boyd. I mean, how many?
Yep.
Come on.
I know.
I need a drink of my ginger ale here. I've got to
You got to hit the ginger ale hard.
Yeah, hit the ginger ale. But no, that is part of what the fascination is because this doesn't involve just Moscow. You've got Pennsylvania. You've got Pullman, Washington. You've got other people who are potential players involved. Was Kohberger involved in this some way, shape, or form? I mean, and the fact that Kohberger lived not far from Brian Kohberger, because we've proven that, in Pennsylvania. So I mean, it is like you described it earlier, very much like this octopus with all these tentacles reaching out all over the country.
And then we got in federal court, we got the Idaho for defamation case where they're going for possibly is tarot card protected, and she wanted to have one of her struck. When I was covering the case, the Idaho for defamation case, Schofield versus Heuermann. This is the University of Idaho professor at Moscow who sued a content creator, Ashley Heuermann, for defamation because she said it wasn't Brian Kohberger, it was two other people, and she named who they were, but she wanted to have a juror struck. And I said, strike this juror because she did exhibit some prejudice toward her because she was a psychic, a tarot card reader. And she said, this is my spiritual background. This is what I believe. This is sort of like how I pray. And now we have in the Ninth Circuit, the Kohberger case up in an appellate court there. We got the two Banfield cops being sued for a Fourth Amendment alleged unlawful search and seizure, along with Blacker, along with who's the other one? Gunderson in Warner versus the MPD. It's like this thing goes all over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy.
And then, of course, Kohberger versus. Did you guys know that Garza? I didn't realize this until I did some research the other day. Garza versus Idaho, the 2019 SCOTUS case that Hitler basically referred to when Kohberger changed his plea. He said, hey, we understand, you waived your appellate rights, but waiver of appellate rights doesn't mean necessarily waiver. He's referencing Garza. Garza was filed in Ada County. It was a petition for post-conviction relief filed in Ada County, 2015. He was denied relief at the district court level. He went to the Supreme Court of Idaho district and denied all relief there. Then he jumped over. He filed his petition in the Supreme Court 2019. And that's where that decision of ineffective assistance of counsel may possibly get you out of an appeal waiver case. But it took about 4 years for that process to run through. Do you think it might take, if he's got to get to the Supreme Court, that much time? Possibly?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. These things move at a snail's pace, and meanwhile, the accused rots in prison and grows old. And then when they finally, if anything does happen, there's no undoing that you took fucking decades of someone's life while this plays out. But that's another monstrous thing to think through. Is how
it really is. It really the fact that he was 28, just to turn 28 when he got arrested. He's 31 now. If you're thinking that's going to take, let's just say that it takes the exact amount of time that Garza did to work its way up to the Supreme Court, and maybe he gets relief at that point. Then there has to be a trial. So you're talking possibly his 40s, and all of those significant, important years in your late 20s and 30s are gone. They're gone. How much money can you be paid to compensate you for all of those years? And you always have the stigma that, hey, he did it. That's going to follow him the rest of his life.
Real quick, this comment that's pinned. Wasn't Luigi Mangione arrested near Penn State at McDonald's? So Luigi Mangione went to Penn State. He was arrested in Altoona, Pennsylvania. That's where the stop was at. So I don't know how close Altoona is to Penn State. That's what I don't know in that answer. But yeah, that's where he was picked up, as in Altoona, Pennsylvania.
Right. So it seems like Pennsylvania is a hotbed.
Right?
Of major major.
Yeah.
What about the Robin, the attempted unaliving of President Trump? Wasn't that in Pennsylvania? Also, Western Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that was in Butler. That was in Butler, PA.
Butler, Pennsylvania. So there's that.
Yep.
You know, there's so much happening. It seems like out of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And why was Moscow even founded? There's a Moscow PA. People from Pennsylvania went out to Idaho and founded. There's a Main Street in Moscow, PA, a Main Street in Moscow. I mean, there's just so. And the guy who founded the town looks very suspiciously like Kohberger. You know, like possibly a Kohberger ancestor.
And another crazy thing with the Idaho 4 is in a Pennsylvania cold case, a detective used Othram Labs to break a cold case in Pennsylvania and then recommended Othram Labs in the Moscow, Idaho case. And so you have all these weird connections with shit that just go. And then the K-Bar knife manufacturing plant is in Pennsylvania. Did DNA from Pennsylvania. Like there's a million Pennsylvania connections if you want to get into deep in the woods. I would like to ask what you guys think, Kathy and Robin. What do you guys think about taking, when I was looking at that page that they set together for the Sigma Chi things, it's basically, it sounds like it's charging a bunch of people with, in other words, what I'm saying is the documents that are now are like 17 copies of the same basic thing, which includes the arresting officer's probable cause affidavit. Would you guys want to do that live and look at it together real quick?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
All right.
You don't got to ask me twice about that, Robin. This is Idaho 4 Eastern Division, PA's. Okay.
There you go.
This is from the Unified Judicial System of Pennsylvania, and they got a special page set up for these new arrests, Sigma Chi people. And I think that some of these details are going to be interesting. So this is one of like 14 different people that have been busted. I think it's so a lot of them are probably going to read the same. This particular defendant is Agostino Sebastiano Abatiello. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Abatiello.
Number one. Hey, Robin, where is Center County? CENTRE. See the upper left.
Yeah, Center County is out near State College, which is where Penn State is. So I'm trying to think. That's about like an hour and a half from us, maybe. And we're in kind of like the center of the state almost. We're like south of center a little bit. So they're not too far away from us. I mean, it would only take us, like I said, probably about an hour and a half to get there. You know,
nice.
So
we're gonna get you guys all over.
Ground, baby.
Boots on the ground in Center County.
I got a good car now.
They gotta make first appearances. They gotta make first appearances.
Here's the docket number. I was going back to look to see if we can see a cleaner docket number, but I don't even see the docket number on their page set up for this, so that kind of sucks. But if you want the handwritten docket number for those people who want to track this case in various places that have dockets, that's CR-192-2026. So we're going to look for the highlights if we can find them. I accuse the above named defendant who lives at this address.
Oh, the State College Police Department. I was thinking it's going to be the Pennsylvania State Police bringing this like they did in Kohberger. No, it's the State College Police Department.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very cool. Yeah, good.
I love jurisdiction before state police, I believe.
All right, so let's read these charges and then the probable cause at the end. In the above named, in that the above named defendant did unlawfully conspire, is probably what it's supposed to say. It says conspire with others to violate Section 911B3 of the Pennsylvania Crimes Code, Title 18, to wit, between January 2023 and November 2024, the defendant did conspire with Lars Zepfat, Shane Devereaux, Robert Zanola, Liam Smith, Thomas Robinson, Mohammed Hurabi, and others to transport and distribute cocaine into Center County in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So that's one.
Wow, this is like a RICO. Hang on, Lee, this is like a RICO charge. And
because there's an organization kind of thing, you mean?
Statute description, corrupt organizations, PA crime code, section 8. Okay. The defendant unlawfully conspired. So it's and look at this, January 23. Who was in Pennsylvania in January 23 until January 6th or 7th? Kohberger. He was in the
right. Good point. Yeah, was because he hadn't. When did he get extradited to Moscow?
Well, it was somewhere around. It was like the 5th, 6th of January. He spent years in the Monroe County Jail, and then they had the extradition hearing, and then they shipped him off to Idaho.
All right, let's continue to read these acts of the accused. In that the above named defendant did conspire with another to possess with intent to manufacture and deliver a controlled substance while not being registered under this act, to wit, between January 2023 and November 2024, the defendant did conspire with those same people we've read before and others to deliver cocaine. So here was transporting, and here is delivery of cocaine.
From where? From where?
Wow. Does it say from where? I don't think it says.
No, I want to know where it's from.
Yeah. I don't think they said.
Now, Lee, each and every one of these people were associated with the Sigma Chi fraternity at Penn State?
I believe so, yes.
Wow.
It was Sigma Chi, but also
deltas. There was some
Delta
delta.
Lambda.
Yeah, there was a Delta fraternity as well. That's right. It's not all
but
Sigma.
it wasn't the same Delta as in Moscow.
I think Moscow's Delta Tau Delta, and this was a Delta something else.
This
was Delta I can Lambda. Also point out one thing from what I read about this case. Sigma Chi is not on campus at Penn State.
No, they're not.
Right.
Right,
because they were under like a disciplinary type of thing or whatever, I think.
Right. Unlike in Idaho, where Sigma Chi was located on the campus.
Yeah.
And so therefore, it's got the protection of the university.
All right, let's continue the charges. In that the above named defendant did possess with the intent to manufacture or deliver a controlled substance while not being registered in this act, to wit, between January 23 and November 2024, the defendant did possess with the intent to deliver and did deliver cocaine to Lars and all these other people as well. And Andrew Aker, that name, I didn't remember see that. So some of these names actually changed because these are a shorter list and a new name. So we will get into the weeds if we start. If this case gets interesting to people, because it's Idaho 4 adjacent, we'll get to know all these people's names if we get some interest in this. All right, let's continue this. In that the above named defendant did possess with intent to manufacture and deliver a controlled substance while not being registered under this act, on or about January 2024, the defendant did possess with the intent to deliver and did deliver approximately 6 to 8 ounces of suspected cocaine to Thomas Robinson in exchange for U.S. currency. Now, I was wondering, is Thomas Robinson the controlled buy? Is that like an undercover person? Because Thomas Robinson's all over these.
That's what it sounds like.
Is his name? Is he one of the defendants, Lee?
Well, let's take a look.
I think he might be one of the CI.
There's Thomas Robinson.
Okay.
So maybe he's not.
Maybe he is one of the people arrested. Okay. So he's not the controlled buy guy. Anyway, or unless he turned on I don't know how that works exactly.
Who knows? Maybe they got a CI that was feeding them this information.
Right. In that the above named defendant did possess with intent to manufacture or deliver a controlled substance on or about 3/19/2024, the defendant did possess with the intent to deliver and did deliver approximately 500 grams of suspected cocaine to Thomas Robinson in exchange for U.S. currency. And then another one here. In that the above named defendant did possess with the intent to manufacture or deliver controlled substance on about July 12th through 13th, 2024, the defendant did possess with the intent to deliver and did deliver 1,000 grams of suspected cocaine to Thomas Robinson in exchange for U.S. currency. And then we continue here.
Thomas Robinson's a buyer in all of this.
Yeah. Right. There's it's the last 2 pages we want to read the most. That's the actual written out affidavit, the probable cause affidavit, if you will. In that the above named defendant did possess with intent to manufacture and deliver, blah, 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 blah. On or about September 21st, 2024, the defendant did possess with the intent to deliver and did deliver approximately 1,000 grams of suspected cocaine to Thomas Robinson in exchange for U.S. currency. So multiple buys, it looks like. In that the named defendant did possess with the intent to manufacture and deliver On or about November 2024, the defendant did possess with the intent to deliver and did deliver 1,000 grams of cocaine to Thomas Robinson in exchange for U.S. currency. So are these different dates?
This is 1,000 grams of
Yes.
whole. I wonder if this guy was, dispersing that to other people as well. It's the same amount all the time. seems like.
Well, one of them was smaller, but then it's a lot of 1,000-gram buys. So
Yeah.
defendant did. So here's a new charge. The defendant did conduct a financial transaction with the knowledge the property involved represented the proceeds of unlawful activity and acted with the intent to promote the carrying on of the unlawful activity. Between January 2023 and November 24, the defendant obtained and sold cocaine for profit, then utilized the said profits to reinvest said monies to facilitate the additional procurement, distribution, and ultimate profit from the sale of cocaine in the center of Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So he's buying quantities to resell as a distributor. So he's a drug dealer buying a larger quantity from people above him.
Yeah.
Right?
Ooh.
All right. The defendant did use the defendant did use a community facility to commit, cause, or facilitate the commission a felony under PA Controlled Substance, Drug, Device, and Cosmetic Act, all of which is in violation of Title 18. To wit, between August 2023 and November 2024, the defendant did use Snapchat.
No, don't tell me it was Snapchat.
Oh, here we go with the Snapchat.
I mean, what, bitch, please.
Yeah, now look at
where have we seen Snapchat and Sigma Chi?
Yeah. One interviewer says 1 brick equals 1,000 grams.
1,000 grams of coke.
How much would that be? Street value be an interesting thought. If anyone has any idea.
All I can see right now is a freaking old 80s thing of that guy snorting coke and saying, what's the street value of this mountain? It's pure snow.
Now, bear in mind, it is the law enforcement official at Penn State University who's writing up this affidavit of probable cause.
Yeah.
So this is presumably intended to have been or was distributed on the Penn State campus.
Yonder says 100,000.
What jurisdiction would he have?
What was the question?
No, what jurisdiction would he have? Bear in mind, this is not the Pennsylvania State Police. This is not the feds. This is not the county. This is Center County. This is the law enforcement, the LEO on Penn State University campus, who is a law enforcement official who's writing up, wearing out this affidavit, probable cause.
By the way, we gave the link to Yaw News Network to come up and join us if you want to, right? He's got all this knowledge about drug quantities and prices, man. We should get him up here talking about it.
So Wheels says that a brick like that could be like tens of thousands of dollars wholesale. And then, of course, you break it up and, street value could make it, like over $1 million all total. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I have to ask an Idaho 4 related question. What's the Canine officer, Snyder, who just came from a rug sniffing duty on Main Street, along with his partner there, Smith, who handed him the body cam because he had no body cam on him for reasons unknown. What's he doing taking a snapshot or 2 or 3 on Xana's desk of a baggie with crushed subs? He doesn't know what that is. And a dollar bill and not get the rug dog.
Right.
Huh?
Right. You literally are seeing stuff. You're photographing it like you think it's suspicious possible drugs, and you don't bring in the drug sniffing dog into the house.
And then, Lee, if I could also interject, we have to keep making the connections to Idaho 4 here. I think a few minutes later, then who was standing on the corner of King and Queen, whispering, turning down his volume, turning off his. But it was Snyder who whispers to a Captain Lanier. He's either saying Sigma Chi victim or CI victim, or maybe both. Who knows?
Yeah,
that was Snyder.
All right, so great points, and I think it's important for us to make the connections to Idaho 4 that we think that might end up be pertinent. So, anyways, they're using Snapchat. To facilitate the delivery of cocaine and what all of the kids that have been interviewed in Idaho 4 to make that continual can talk about using Snapchat. We all use Snapchat. We've got group chats in Snapchat. And they also asked questions about cocaine in those same interviews, talking about the Snapchat stuff, but that didn't make it into the police reports.
No, it didn't.
Huh.
Right.
It was
Funny.
redacted. Why?
So now we're getting to the end of this, and there's 2 pages after this that we're going to really get into, but let's read these. I ask that a warrant of arrest or a summons be issued and that the defendant be required to answer the charges that I have made. I verify that the facts set forth in this complaint are true and correct to the best of my knowledge or information and belief. This verification is made subject to penalties of section blah, 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 relating to unsworn falsification to authorities. This complaint consists of the preceding pages, numbers 1 through 6. That's what we just read, the pages 1 through 6. I certify that this filing applies with the provisions of the Case Records Public Access Policy of the United States, not United States, United Judicial System of Pennsylvania, that require filing confidential information and documents differently than non-confidential information and documents. Sorry, I slaughtered the hell out of that. The acts committed by the accused as listed hereafter were against the peace and dignity of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and blah, blah, blah. So let's read this is the details. Affidavit of probable cause. This. Go ahead, Robin. What were you going to say?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
No. That was something else. Never mind.
Point 1. Detective Donald Paul, I guess it's a badge number 3230, hereafter referred to as your affiant, is currently a state college police officer and has held that position since April of 2005. Your affiant is a member of the Center County Drug Task Force, or CCDTF, and has held that position since November of 2007. As a member of the CCDTF, your affiant has authority to investigate and arrest people for violations of Controlled Substances, Drug Device, and Cosmetic Act in all judicial districts throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Prior to being employed with the State College Police Department, your affiant was a police officer with the Montgomery County, Maryland Department of Police for 8 years. Your affiant received law enforcement training, including the investigation and enforcement of drug laws and other investigations at the Montgomery County Department of Police Training Academy and various law enforcement sponsored training seminars. Your affiant is currently assigned to the State College Police Criminal Investigations Section with a concentration in drug investigations and has held that position since October of 2007. Point 2. During his career, your affiant has received specialized drug law training. As a result of your affiant's training and experience, your affiant has become familiar with and knowledgeable in not only the clandestine manner in which drugs are used, but also the business practices used by drug dealers to include methods of packaging, storing, and concealing illegal drugs, prices for which illegal drugs are sold, methods of delivering illegal drugs, as well as methods of record keeping and concealment of proceeds from illegal drug sales. Your affiant has also become familiar with and knowledgeable in recognizing behavioral patterns of drug dealers in the manner and methodology by which they communicate and interpreting coded language used in the illegal sales of controlled substances. Also cool. All right. And then I don't think there's anything super important there, but we're going to read this continuation of the probable cause. During his career, your affiant has been involved in numerous investigations, arrests, and search warrants and prosecutions for drug-related crimes. Your affiant has been personally involved in more than 500 drug-related investigations, supervised more than 1,000 controlled buys of illegal controlled substances, applied for and executed more than 400 search warrants, and has charged more than 500 people for violations of Controlled Substance, Drug Device, and Cosmetic Act, specifically for the delivery of controlled substances. Your affiant has interviewed more than 400 people who were personally involved in the trafficking of controlled substances. As a result of your affiant's training and experience with your affiant has become familiar with and knowledgeable in not only the clandestine manner in which drugs are used, but also in the business practices used by drug dealers to include methods of packaging, storing, and concealing illegal drugs, prices for which illegal drugs are sold, methods of delivering illegal drugs, as well as methods for record keeping and concealment of proceeds from illegal drugs. Man, this sounds like I just read this. Your affiant has also become familiar with and knowledgeable in recognizing behavioral patterns of drug dealers and the manner and methodology which they communicate and in interpreting coded language. Why does that need to be said twice? Last 2 paragraphs, here we go. The 55th statewide investigating grand jury, the Office of Attorney General, the State College Police Department, other law enforcement agencies, and your affiants have been conducting a criminal investigation into the suspected violations of the criminal laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, including violations of the Controlled Substance Act, blah, 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 by Augustino, that's the person on this one, and Thomas Robinson and others. The evidentiary results of this investigation and the investigative efforts of the 55th statewide investigative grand jury are reported in the attached grand jury presentment, which we don't have. This is the end of the document. So
but it's a grand jury out of Pennsylvania. Where did we hear that last?
Yes, right. Mm-hmm. Which is attached here too and made part of the affiant's probable cause. Said presentment shows on its face that is based on evidence that the grand jury reviewed and evaluated, that the evidence included sworn testimony of witnesses who appeared before it, as well as physical evidence presented to it, and that the aforementioned presentment number 2 was reviewed and approved by the Honorable Edward M. Marsico, Jr., supervising judge of the 55th statewide investigative grand jury, who by order dated on July 31st, 2026, directed that the appropriate criminal charges be initiated and prosecuted by the Office of the Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in Center County, Pennsylvania. Your affiant has reviewed the presentment number 2, and your affiant agrees that the findings identified therein correspond with the results of your affiant's own investigation to date. So a grand jury had looked at the evidence and said, yes, go ahead and proceed with prosecuting. And so they made these arrests and all these things. And yeah.
And so now, basically what you read here is extremely important because this served as the basis for the warrants for all of these people's arrests.
Yes.
What correct. He says here, this is the probable cause affidavit.
And this is being called Operation Drugs Unlimited. Is what this case is being called. Well, I had Wheels pull some stuff, and this Augustino Abitiello is the biggest supplier apparently to Penn State. So,
yeah.
And now that's according to court papers. So that's not just, and so it was Sigma Chi, and also Thomas Robinson was associated with Delta Upsilon.
Upsilon. Yeah, right. That was the other Delta. Yeah, the Delta.
Yeah, that was the other Delta.
Have they been served? Have they been arrested? Are they have they been bound out? Is there first appearance? All of that. What's going? Because this all happened on the 17th of August.
Right.
Which is just 2 days ago. Okay.
I think all those names were all the different people, and if we dug through that far enough, we probably would find which ones are, from Penn State and which ones are from each fraternity, I should say.
Very interesting. Very interesting that it would be happening right now. With the Division of Post-Conviction Relief working its way through in Idaho, a Pennsylvania resident, Kohberger, that this would bust like right now.
Okay. So Robinson cooperated and identified Abitiello as his cocaine supplier.
Is Robinson a student?
Yes, they were both students, and Robinson was a member of Delta Upsilon, and Abitiello was a member of Sigma Chi.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Lee, it looks like you got quite a bit here to do. I, for one, shall be looking forward to these forthcoming investigative, getting down into the weeds regarding this Pennsylvania connection, which until I am proven otherwise, I'm calling Idaho 4 East. What is it called? What's it called, Robin? Come on, Robin. What the heck? How many coincidences are we supposed as the public digest here?
Right. Wow.
Oh, wow. Now this get this Thomas Robinson's father, Paul Robinson, is a Pittsburgh attorney, and prosecutors charged him with felony tampering and hindering apprehension, alleging that he took steps to conceal evidence, including a safe containing drugs and cash.
Isn't it funny you have people who work in law helping break the law to cover their criminal relatives' behaviors?
Well,
and then,
back to what Judge Hippler said In the May 15th document hold orders, he said he thought that a member of the prosecution team or current or former law enforcement was the leaker. And then he very upset. You could just see the steam coming off of his words. People who are sworn to uphold the law, violating the law. Never saw him as upset as he was at that time, except when, of course, with the so-called conspiracy theories of a certain Cy. He was also upset at that time as well.
Yeah.
Give me a second. You guys talk for a second. I'm trying to type some quick notes for this case real quick on the fly. Doing it live.
Yeah. I was just going through here. Yeah. So apparently this Abatello, now get this, he was still dealing up until recently, until February of 2026 to friends, even though he had been brought up on charges and so somehow, some way, now he did surrender. So he did actually, he wasn't going to, I guess, but then he finally did surrender. I think it was just this past Tuesday.
Just this past Tuesday. Wow. So all of this, again, happening, as Robin says, in real time. All of this is playing out in real time.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, so we have a Pennsylvania grand jury. We had whispers, not so quietly, of a Pennsylvania grand jury as early as 23 in Kohberger. I believe that's when Massoff spilled the beans in one of her filings. I said, Pennsylvania grand jury, what? And then we had Steve G supposedly saying that the Fed said to him, "Don't worry, if he somehow gets a not guilty, do you think we're going to let him go?" So suggesting there was something, and that would be interstate. It's the only way the Feds could get involved in a state case, if there was an interstate commerce. Pennsylvania, Idaho. Oh my gosh!
So I got to put this on
the Tentacles here, Lee.
I gotta put this on screen and share this, because this is the news article. Remember, we read Thomas Robinson and a whole bunch of those buys. He's the son of that lawyer,
that attorney.
Right, and I want to show you this. This is pretty crazy.
Don't even tell me there's any relationship to Tyler Robinson.
Dad accused of hiding money in Penn State frat drug ring is a prominent attorney. So there's the dad, Paul Robinson. Let's see if we can get past that. The father, charged along with 13 current and former Penn State University students in connection with an alleged cocaine trafficking operation, is a member of a prominent Pittsburgh law firm. Paul Robinson, whose son is Thomas Robinson, was named as one of the 2 leaders of the drug ring, was charged with felony tampering, hindering apprehension for taking steps to conceal evidence, and obstructing the investigation. Hold on. Paul Robinson, whose son was Thomas Robinson, was charged with felony tampering, hindering apprehension.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Right, you did say that. I just had to read it again. You did say that, but I was like, wait a minute. I thought they said he was organized.
Probably got in the middle of stuff because he saw that his son, he didn't want his son to get arrested, accessory after the fact.
Prosecutors allege Robinson concealed evidence, including drugs and cash in a safe. The elder Robinson is an attorney at Meyer, Dara, Beckler, Bebenik, and Eck PLLC, headquartered in Pittsburgh, according to the firm's website.
Oh, is this the kid?
That's the kid. That's the.
Look at the face. Look at the face.
Yeah.
Real baby face. You would never suspect him of being a drug dealer.
Robinson's areas of practice include transportation, products of liability, commercial law, construction law, and insurance litigation coverage. Robinson is also has a bachelor's degree from Edinburgh University in Pennsylvania, and his law degree is from New England School of Law. How did we get in the country where people going to law school become drug dealers? And hey, I'm going to fight for the law while being a drug dealer. That sounds like this is like a super combo, and then I can protect myself.
And just imagine, this is just what we know about. Do we think that the ones that are out in public are the only ones?
Right.
No.
Right. All right. In a statement to CBS affiliate KKDA-TV, the law firm said it was aware of the charges against Robinson. The allegations concern Mr. Robinson individually and do not involve the firm, its clients, its legal services.
You know why?
Yeah, of course. Hey, that shit has nothing to do with us. Yeah. The firm is reviewing the circumstances surrounding the matter. Because the criminal proceeding is ongoing, the firm will not comment on the substance of the allegations or speculate regarding the evidence. Robinson is still the only student facing charges in connection with the drug ring. Robinson's the only student facing charges?
No, non-student.
Okay.
The only non-student.
I wonder if he's a graduate, though, of Penn State.
Reading comprehension skills, Robin. That's what that was. Thank you. This Robinson, not the other Robinson, is the only non-student. There you go. On Tuesday, August 18, the suspected ringleader of the operation, Agostino Abatiello, or however you pronounce it, surrendered to authorities and was arraigned on multiple charges of possession with intent to deliver cocaine, conspiracy, and other counts. So he's the alleged ring of this whole thing. The guy
here we go. My question just got answered here.
Yeah.
Abatiello and fellow defendant Thomas Robinson, both 2024 Penn State grads. They're both alumni. Okay, are accused of being the two leaders.
Yeah,
so they go back to football games. Hey, how you guys doing?
Yeah, right. And how many in Idaho? How many graduated people were still hanging around, and were they in the same kind of situation? Alumni who work with people who are still in the fraternities actively, and then move product through it. Prosecutors allege the pair would regularly travel to Philadelphia or New York to procure large quantities of cocaine, which were cut and packaged at two frat houses, sometimes by pledges.
Wow.
And distributed to students across campus.
Oh, we have our whole distribution in place.
Sure,
They cut it up, they put it in the baggies. We have the other ones selling.
Yeah.
You get a cut of this, you get a cut of that. Hey, what are they doing in those frat houses? They having milk and cookies, studying for their algebra exams? I don't think so. Same with 1122.
I would say it's unbelievable, but it's not. It's not unbelievable. I actually totally believe that this happens all the time.
Absolutely. So that is very interestingly.
Yeah, it is very interesting. And it's probably just the tip of the iceberg.
It is, according to what I'm reading, yes. This goes back to like 2021, 2022, and involves a whole bunch of other people. So
Kohberger was still living in Pennsylvania at the time.
Yes, he was.
At the start, he's in the Monroe County Jail, getting ready to be extradited. I want to find out if anybody's going to uncover anything having to do with Idaho 4. Lee's going to do it.
I hope. Yeah.
So let's see how things materialize as we watch Kohberger versus Idaho work its way through the court system. I am predicting he will get relief. It might.
I hope you're right about that.
Hopeful it will be at the trial court level so that we get this trial finally. If not, I predict it will be either at the Supreme Court of Idaho or the Supreme Court of the United States case, because what he's saying here, he's ticked all the boxes, assuming everything that he's saying is true. He was coerced. He was not told about exculpatory evidence. He certainly did not know about discovery. That was having to do with Molly McMichael and her communications with Bill Thompson, and the G family's communications with Bill Thompson, and her criminal history, because that only came in the 9th of July, a week after he pled guilty. And then she stands up in open court and tells Hitler, after more than 2.5 years, we don't have discovery. We need sanctions. They're giving me this needle in a haystack. Oh, yes, we have all the discovery we need to make this enormous change of plate. Anybody who doesn't see that he's got a good potential, I seriously think that they need to look at the facts of this case.
Yeah, I agree. It baffles me. It baffles me that mainstream media wants to spend all their time telling you how it's nearly impossible for him to get a look at this, instead of looking at the other question, which is what made him think that he was coerced. Maybe we should look at it. Did they do any investigation? Do investigative journalists do any investigation and look into the allegations that maybe his own attorney didn't give him all the facts, and maybe he didn't find out about it until a book came out? Do they do any fucking investigation? No, they just repeat he's got a real uphill battle on this shit. He's not going to get that. Why don't you start doing investigation?
That's why it's dying. It's just they want to stay close to the cops, and they want to stay close to the victims because they want the exclusive stories. And we know what's his face is Exhibit 1. You know, he's the one that always has the, Washington, you know, they're going to be suing Washington State University. He's got the exclusive. He's got the exclusive that the plea deal's coming. He's got the exclusive of all this stuff because he's not an investigative journalist, because an investigative journalist would look at two sides of the coin, and he does not. And that's why MSM is dying.
That, and you're 100. I hope people heard what you said. You're absolutely right. The media, mainstream media, wants to be in that privileged position of getting information, and they do that by not questioning the authorities. So that's what you get, America. That's what you get. You get media who get direct access because they won't question authority. They won't question the official story, and they get the inside scoop, and then they get to have their face all over there as I'm on the boots on the ground. I got the before anybody else. They've got that privileged position because they won't challenge law enforcement. They won't challenge the process. That's why they have that privilege.
And you know what's disgusting? That if they ever got sued for, like, let's just say Kohberger sues some of these people, they're going to run for the protection of the First Amendment before it would make your head spin, alleging that they're the press and therefore that, you know, you have to show actual malice. That's the New York Times standard before any of them can get sued, when they're not the press. They're basically the parrots for the law enforcement and for the victims. That's it, you know, and they don't give the other side of the story. You don't get both sides. So that's why everybody's, what the heck is Kohberger flying for post-conviction relief? You know, he pled guilty.
Right. I mean, you can't just change your mind because they're morons. Yeah.
Well, and that's why what you guys do is very important. You know, both of our channels do, is to educate people about these things, about the fact that, yes, many people do plead guilty that are innocent.
Yeah. By the way, somebody had asked if we were following the hazing case from the Secret Service in Miami. I didn't even know about it, so now I'm looking at that. And
it just never ends. It just never ends. But you know what, Robin? You know who's there are a lot of people who who think for themselves and who are called pro-burgers by a bunch of socialists who want this country to run like the Soviet Union did. They don't want to have the Constitution. They don't want to have the First Amendment operating like it should, due process, 14th Amendment, right to a fair trial. They want all of those protections taken away, and they'll call people pro-burgers because they're ignorant. They would be the first ones to run for the protections of due process if they were ever accused of a crime that they did not commit. And you know who else has our ear right now? The 3 members of the Supreme Court of the United States in Hunter versus United States in the concurring opinion. They talked about innocent people being on death row. They talked about this conversion of this country from jury trials, as it should be, into a place of plea deals. And they talked about the dangers. So if and when Kohberger hits the Supreme Court of the United States, those 3 justices are relatively young. The only one who did not vote in favor of Hunter 8-1 is one of the more senior justices. He might be retiring before the next 4 years are over. So let's watch and see if the people who stand for the Constitution, which I think I do, Robin, Juan, and Lee do, are correct in the end, or if the socialists will win out, because that's what they are. That's what they are.
I hope you're right. I mean, I have a good feeling that this case has a lot of legs to stand on, and mainstream media is going to have one of those shocking moments again where they can't believe that anybody's going to take this guy seriously. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Well, we will, because we've been watching the case and they haven't been doing investigative journalists. So when they get shocked that they can't believe he's actually going to get a day, and we're hoping. Again, I don't want to give people false hope, but I do feel like that's a really good chance. I want to tell you, by the way, about this hazing case and the Secret Service. It's a frat case. It's fraternities. This guy who was a Secret Service member was the dean of pledges over Kappa Alpha Psi, and beat victims so badly with canes that they required hospitalization and it could have killed them. The allegations are that the Miami-Dade prosecutors say that between April 1st and April 4th, 2006, victims were repeatedly beaten with canes and paddles at locations in Sweetwater and in unincorporated Miami-Dade. 2 alleged victims required hospitalization, according to the warrant. 1 suffered tissue damage, requiring skin grafts and treatments for kidney damage. The doctors indicate that injuries could have progressed into renal failure. The other was reportedly intubated during the hospitalization. 3 men face felony counts, including attempted manslaughter with a deadly weapon, aggravated battery and deadly weapon with great bodily harm, and hazing with a deadly weapon. Pinder posted $75,000 bond, reported saying that his arraignment is currently scheduled for September 24, 2026. Holy shit. Like, what is going on in our country in the frats? It's fucking out of control.
And this is going on for decades. I mean, there's John Hamm, who was, the star of Mad Men. He was also the star of was the remake of the Tom Cruise movie about the Navy. He was in that. He's a big star. They say that he was arrested for hazing and almost unaliving a student back in Missouri, where he went to college, allegedly. That's out there. These hazing incidents have been in the news for years, and I keep saying, what does this have to do with sending your 17 all your life as a parent? You think about your child going to college because you want them to have a better life. You save money, you put it away, you look at campuses, and they're going to go there where rugs are being distributed, where they're going to be possibly subject to hazing. If they want to join a fraternity because they think that it might help them in years to come, what's that got to do with education? Why are
it doesn't?
What
and these colleges need to cut the shit just because they want money. These are these young people's lives here. They're there to get an education, not to be hazed and abused and everything else. These colleges need to do better and, start recognizing that people deserve to go to college, and not have all this stuff happen.
Right. Or you know what, today's age, if my kids went to college, both of them, I'd have them do it online. I said, you know what, go, you don't have to be on campus.
Go to a trade
these
school.
Legacies, these fraternities, they give money. They want to keep the fraternities going. All right. You want to get your money that way. Goodbye.
Yeah. And like one saying in chat, I don't know if he's talking about this, but when these hazing incidents get out of control and someone actually gets killed by hazing, the universities feel like they kind of cover that shit up because they don't want shit shut down. So it's like,
that's what I'm saying.
It's criminal organizations operating under this Greek envelope that allowed them to run drugs, kill people, sex trafficking, all kinds of shit under the symbol of a Greek symbol, saying that it's all, hey, this is just kids wanting to be part of something important. Future leaders of America coming out there, murderers and drug traffickers, people like this kid studying to become a lawyer while being a drug dealer. While I want to fight for the law while being a drug dealer.
That's how I'm going to pay for law school. And my dad,
I get it. Drug dealers have lawyers all the time. Drug dealers employ lawyers. Like drug organizations have their own set of lawyers.
Well,
those lawyers know where the money comes from.
I'm saying it's all about money. It is. It is. Yeah. And let's go back to Idaho 4. Without that school, that town's done.
Yeah.
That has no commerce. There is nothing there. But
same with Pullman. Yeah.
Right. What was Green doing in war rooms with law enforcement? What's he doing standing up there when there's press conferences? This wasn't on campus.
Because his business interests are at risk. That's why he's up there, because his business interests are at risk.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we may be, hopefully this is going to be a historic time in our country's history where we're going to see a lot of change. We're going to see the Constitution re-established for what it is, First Amendment, that you don't have these secret trials, you don't have secret hearings, you don't put things under seal, you don't, trust us, you show us the evidence, you have a case, you beyond a reasonable doubt, capital case, you go into court and you prove your case. I think I agree with you, Lee, and Robin. I heard you because I was doing some work here, and I listened to you, and you said if there is a trial, this case is going to look very different, and a lot of the so-called evidence that's poisoned the mind of the public will probably not even get into the case. Will
Yeah.
probably not be.
I'm hopeful. I'm a kind of a pessimist, so I'm hopeful that your optimism will be seen, that this will be a way for the country to change and get better. I'm a pessimist by nature. It feels like this shit just gets swept under the rug, but maybe, if enough big cases get overturned and enough attention gets put on it, maybe somebody will be forced to make changes. I hope so. I do hope so.
Well, I look at my own experience. I started a very, very small, tiny DIY independent podcast, and I followed the Idaho 4 case. The people who were following me now were people who thought that he was guilty. They assumed what law enforcement said. And me too, at a certain time, wow, this really sounds bad. This sounds, they materialized nothing. Nothing was produced. And I just keep going back, when the government fights this hard to keep information out of the public domain, as they have in Idaho versus Kohberger, and then also EWU Media versus City of Moscow Police Department, it's usually not for a good reason. Why don't you release the interrogation video? Every law enforcement, even in the Delphi case, they released the audio of him speaking. In Idaho versus Wander, that little child who disappeared out of Fruitland, they released his video. Why aren't you releasing Kohberger's video?
Get this,
Kathy.
I told this to Robin. I don't even know if she remembers. I told this to Robin and one of them, but I've never told it to you, and I never said it on the camera. But we've distanced ourselves enough that I don't think anybody's going to know where the hell I got this from. I talked to somebody. So this is going to be a rumor that I'm going to tell you was told to me directly. I talked to somebody who has a friend in law enforcement in a state over here in the Pacific Northwest. I'll try to be as vague as I can. And just recently, he was at a special function for law enforcement. They were celebrating, I think, a retirement of a cop, and they were showing to everyone the arrest of Kohberger in Pennsylvania as a trophy piece. They were all watching it.
Wait a second.
They have it, and they're showing it around and bragging about it like, hey, look, you guys get to see the arrest of Kohberger. Nobody else gets to fucking see it, but apparently it's made it over here to the West Coast, if the rumor is true, and they're showing it during retirement parties for cops about how cool it is that you get to have this special moment. You get to see what nobody else in America has seen, the arrest of Brian Kohberger. We haven't seen it.
Wait a second. Wait a second here. There was a discovery request in early 23 asking for video audio of the arrest of Kohberger. And what Bill Thompson said, it wasn't
I can't remember what he's saying.
It wasn't taped. There isn't any. And I thought to myself, wait a second here. It's going to be World War III. You going into this house in the middle of the night with all SWAT helicopters over, pulling up. People were in SWAT. And you're not
taping it?
Yeah.
But they have a picture of him sitting down with the guy dressed in fatigues. You know what I'm saying? He's in his house. Oh, that's the only picture. Oh, but Payne was able to watch the video, watch it remotely, and nobody videotaped it. Maybe somebody from Idaho videotaped, because there were a couple of them out there on an iPhone. Hey, how'd the video of Kohberger in jail in prison come out? Lee, I 100% think that rumor, just based on my experience and my knowledge of this case, is true.
Yeah,
I do not for a second believe that there's no video of his arrest.
Oh,
no, I bet it's
video.
true as well. Yeah, I bet it's true as well.
Interesting.
But again, I have to, for those who are saying, what, retirement? Remember, you can't spread this far and wide, because I don't have the receipts for it. This was a story told by somebody. So I had somebody reach out. I'll tell you the story a little bit. I had somebody reach out to me, as I often do, saying, I know things about this case you might be interested in. I was friends with so-and-so, and I was friends with so-and-so, and I know these people. And by the way, I got a friend in law enforcement. And he was telling me how they were showing the Kohberger arrest on his retirement party. So it was all stuff from somebody I don't know that contacted me. So take that for what it is, and I can't repeat names. I won't give up anybody's identity and stuff like that. But that's the kind of stuff that I hear.
Lee, how does one still photo of Kohberger in his house distributed?
It makes no sense.
And there's no video. I mean,
right?
These people might have firearms on them. You know, I mean, have somebody coming into the house, they might, you know, hey, this is my home here. What's this? Might start shooting first, asking questions later. You're not going to videotape that. I know you have to have body cam in Pennsylvania at the time, but this type of a case, you're not going to videotape it.
And the FBI was there. So yeah, it defies logic to think that it's not there. And they just think that Americans are just stupid, or it's not even that. Like, we can be smart enough to know that that has to exist, but if they just tell you it isn't, there's nothing we can do. They can keep leaning on it doesn't exist. So when you put in a records request, I don't have to cough it up because it doesn't exist. Prove it exists. You can't prove it exists, so therefore they've got you by the balls. So,
wow. Did he, by any chance, did your source, male or female, describe what was on that video?
No, didn't describe it. No. Off topic, but it happened again. Christy was interviewed by Dr. Phil, and she said, we are not sure who the target was, but we spoke with Kaylee's family at CrimeCon. Steve said Kaylee was adopted. Yes, I remember that. And his wife had to correct him and like, no, you know, yeah, no, I remember that when he said.
Why would he say that?
Because it may have been a slip of the tongue.
Well, it could have been. I mean, because Kaylee does look very much like her mother.
Yeah,
she does.
Somebody sent me a video. Somebody sent me a video of Steve Gonzalez from way back. It was a super short clip where Steve Gonzalez was saying that two of the victims in the house were acting differently in the weeks before the murder. And it would just happen very quick. And they even corrected him. They said, Kohberger, or like the suspect or the victims? He said the victims. The victims' behaviors were different in the weeks leading up to the murder. And that came from Steve. I'm trying to see if I can find that for you real quick.
Please, we'll close on that. I'd be very interested in seeing that. But let's just look at Kaylee. Let's look at Kaylee's behavior. They have the what is it, the Halloween party? At the time of Ethan turned 20, right around that time, the end of October. And then what does she do? It's the middle of the semester. She books it and goes home for a couple of weeks. You know, classes aren't done yet. You rented this house. You got all your stuff there. Why are you going home?
Yeah.
I thought that, it might be, was it because she was afraid of something? And then decides to come back after a couple, well, nothing happened. I'm safe. I'll go back. And then the story changed as to why did she go back? Oh, it was to show Kaylee it was to show Maddie her car. And then it came out in another interview. Oh, it was because she was going to be the +1 for Dylan. And then it came out, she said in another interview that Kaylee had an exam on Monday, the 14th, that she needed to be present on campus to take. So it was like the stories just keep changing. Why would you, if you're paying rent, to rent this apartment, it's couldn't been cheap. You got to pay money. You're not living there for free. Only leave. And she had just moved supposedly when, in August?
Yeah.
You're moving out in October for 2 weeks to go home?
Yeah, it's just weird.
I think I could have maybe found that. So give me a second. I may have found that real quick.
All right.
I agree with Robert Bell. Now, in terms of, it appeared that there might have been some cocktails that were circulating during certain interviews and certain people. So maybe things slipped. But I agree. I agree with what people are saying in chat here that Kate, especially now that she's made her hair blonde, she does look like her daughter a lot.
And yeah, I can't find it. I get so many messages, it's hard to remember.
Well, take your time, Lee, because I think that the fog is starting to lift from Heathrow in some extent here, just in terms of what we've learned about JD's interview that they pretty much redacted. We saw the report. And this is why the unredacted interviews themselves, whether they're voice or audio, is so important, because there's key pieces of information that they edit out or not, depending on whatever their mission is. I would have liked to have known when they dropped those interviews after the Non-dissemination order was rescinded at the media's request last July. I would have liked to know that JD told the officers early on in the case that Kaylee, Coca-Cola, and this frightening rug dealer, I think that that's important information that was intentionally, in my opinion only, withheld all this time. Why it finally came out now, who knows?
You guys went super quiet on me when I'm all over there typing.
We're just thinking.
Amanda put a document in Teams.
Oh,
Okay.
Thank you, Amanda. Boots on the ground.
Oh, look, I found it. I think I found it.
Ooh.
Hold on. I'm trying to get the actual link here.
So great to have a research assistant like that who can pull things up.
Yeah, my research assistant is getting better by the day.
Fantastic. Well, you got a trial coming up possibly very soon here, hopefully sooner rather than later, Amanda. Kohberger versus Idaho.
Ah, yes. Hold on. Let me preview it real quick, and then I'll put it on screen with us.
Was the G family ever interviewed by the cops? I don't recall seeing any. I recall seeing an interview of for example, Xana's dad, Xana's sister from the cops early on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and certainly Madison's mother and stepfather were at the MPD. Was the G family ever interviewed? Any of them, the parents or the sister, or anything? I don't remember seeing anything like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think they refused, maybe? Someone in chat is saying.
Why would you refuse?
Right.
But you're going to go outside and you're going to talk. You're going to do interviews. You're going to declare he is, demand that someone be arrested. Call some. When's the MPD going to? Who's going to be the alpha? Don't make me do it. I have to do it. Who's on the grand jury? Speaking with people. But you're not going to speak with the investigators?
Right. That's just.
If that's true.
Yeah.
In speculation, but I haven't seen anything from them.
Let's see. Fiji says they put a restraining order on Moscow Police Department so they could not be interviewed. Wow. Okay, did not know that.
Damn it! Like this is so frustrating.
Robin, why? But
yeah, what are they? So what were they? Why wouldn't they want to talk to? Why?
Especially being as vocal as they have been, even now.
Yeah, I don't know.
So this is what the assistant has said, and it sucks because the interview that I saw where Steve actually said it, and the reporter asked him about it, was on Fox, and so this part I've gotten that far, and it was a male that was interviewing him, and I remember the male asked him, I can't remember, I don't know who the reporter was. He asked him, do you mean, like the suspect or the victim? He says, no, it was the victim's behavior, and that he was told by law enforcement not to talk about it. And so when I just did a search about it, trying to have my assistant find it, they said, yes, I think I know what you're talking about exactly. Steve Gonsalves was interviewed on Fox News, which is where I got excited. However, the interview they're talking about is the one with Martha McCollum on December 1st, 2022. And then they said, the part that jumped out at you was this. While McCollum was asking whether Kaylee might have been specifically targeted, Steve said he had an inkling that there was some behavioral differences. Fox's contemporaneous article also said that he had clarified he was referring to the behavior of the victims. He also said that he had had asked investigators whether he could disclose what he knew, and the police told him he would not be beneficial to release that. And I remember that's what he said. Steve Gonsalves said that the behavior of a couple of the victims were different, but I was told it wouldn't be beneficial. I asked permission, can I tell people what I know? And they said it wouldn't be beneficial to the case to tell people what you know about it. So I do remember, but I can't find the fucking link. They're not giving me the link to it. So I get to hear all about the article where he talks about it, but they don't give me a link to the actual article where I saw him say it with my own.
Yeah, well, maybe a little bit more research, be able to find it. But is it true also that the cops have never been able to get in to extract Kaylee's phone?
Okay.
Right?
No, well,
No.
that's the shitstorm there.
That's
What did you just ask?
Have the cops been able, they got in, they extracted phone information from Dylan's phone. Were they able to extract information from Kaylee? It's an Apple, right? I found were they able to unlock it.
Here's the shitstorm. This is the reason why I'm surprised you haven't heard us talk about this. Here's the shitstorm. So it has come out recently that a document shows Walla Walla Police Department in Washington were sent Kaylee's phone and have a 95% extraction of her entire phone.
Okay.
And it just recently got revealed through public records requests that they have extracted her phone. And now that we know that they have the phone, according to the records, now everybody's fighting about not having to prove it or show it because they're trying to say that, it's not true, whatever. So it's a shitstorm because right now it seems like there is a report saying they did extract Kaylee's phone.
Ooh,
So,
you know what? Walla Walla came up. Now that it was like, why Walla Walla? Well, it came up, I think, in the extraction of information from a certain JD's phone. And the reason why they sent it to Walla Walla is because apparently they had expertise there, were able to do it. Now, Kohberger versus Idaho is able to do discovery. Wouldn't it be something if he non-party subpoena upon the Walla Walla Police Department to get that information?
And I think it's in the works. that people are going after the
Mowry. He got it. Oh, Mowry got it. Okay,
Mowry may have taken it to Walla Walla and gotten it extracted. But
that sounds exactly what happened with the JD phone. Mowry was right in the middle of it, the extraction. They sent it to Walla Walla because they have some type of expertise up there. I'm going back now on memory. Yep. All right, Kohberger, Mowry needs to be on the list for a deposition. Okay, take notes if you're watching the Devil's Advocate podcast this evening. Mowry has got the information. Why hasn't that been released to the public as of yet?
Right.
Well, I have a hunch it never will be without, being ordered to do so.
And all of the bank accounts for a 21-year-old. Yeah, I'm more than twice her age, and I maybe one account, two accounts. She had all these accounts all over the place, and they won't speak to the cops.
Yeah, I've never seen. I don't know that we'll ever see a case as trying to be covered up as much as this case is covered up. They love public. They cover things.
The audience is infatuated with it. It goes into so many different areas, and if you can have a case this big with so many eyes globally on this, with all of this happening right under our noses, and you have the defendant saying every time something's unsealed, the story changes, making me think maybe he didn't get discovery. Maybe, why would he say that in his July 26th statement, with every opening, with every piece of evidence that's opened up more questions, if he had received all the evidence like everybody assumed?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's an octopus. It certainly is. Well, it'll be interesting to see where things go. You're gonna cover the Pennsylvania case, Lee?
Well, I'm certainly going to start tracking it. Yeah, I've got the page that's going to make it easy, and I'll put a little research assistant on it to watch the page when anything changes, and we'll pay attention to it and see what happens. Yeah,
excellent. And I'm covering that Kohberger versus Idaho like a hawk down.
Yes,
down to the weeds. You know, not just, oh, this is what was filed. Why is this filed? And what does this mean? Why does he want the transcript in the sentencing proceeding? Not from a change of plea in the sentencing proceeding. What is he seeing in the sentencing proceeding that he needs to drop in and emphasize in this petition for post-conviction relief is a question. And we search for answers, but we don't do it, go into the moon and saying that there's, cheese on the moon. We pull it from the records. So we will be very much focused on Kohberger versus. Could you imagine if he gets freed one day? In this type of a case, what that's going to mean.
And by the way, one has he inadvertently is giving me something to recall. When I made a request to the FBI about the identification of Kohberger's vehicle, they gave me some boilerplate information that said, they have the information that I'm asking for, but they will not provide it to me because it falls under an exemption of one of the following. And they didn't tell me which exemption it was. But one of them is it involves confidential informants. They won't cough up public records that involve confidential informants. So to 11's point, if Kaylee was a confidential informant and if it had federal oversight, like it got to the level of FBI, we will never see it because they have an exemption that says the FBI doesn't have to show any information about their confidential informants. So if she was a confidential informant, we'd never see it.
Well, you know what? The FBI, this wasn't a federal case. I'm going to quote Josh Hurwitz. I'm going to quote former Assistant Attorney General Josh Hurwitz, which I'm predicting right now, if there's a trial, you're not going to see because he's a private attorney. He left the AG's office. It's going to be Raul Labrador. That's the AG for Idaho. He may sit in, or he will, Jeff Nye, probably going to see him involved in Kohberger versus Idaho. But this wasn't a federal case, Lee. This is what EWU Media is saying. You want to go out there and you want to bring the feds in, and then you're going to rely on, then you're going to say, oh, wow, then don't bring the feds in. Don't. Bring them into your state case. You want us to pay for all of that work that the feds did? Because you know that Latah County certainly isn't paying for the hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars that got paid to federal agents and resources and whatever travel and this and that and whatever they did. That's coming out of your tax dollars that you paid into the federal government from 2022 through the present time. So don't involve the feds anymore. It's a state case. That's what EWU Media is saying. It really got to me from Christopher Whitcomb's book. And he says, oh, probably the Fed agent walked down and went to Moscow and said, hey, we're right down. What are you doing? Pledging federal resources that we pay for, that whether you live in Pennsylvania or Florida or Texas, we pay for. You got to get authority to do that in advance, I think. You're just going to, just walk, and then you're not going, and then you're going to say, Lee wants those resources and he can't get it. Just got to stop.
And is part of the answer, yeah, it is a Moscow case, except for one of the CIs in the house one of the victims in the house was a CI working with a multi-jurisdictional drug task force involving the FBI. So there is some FBI interest in the case. It may be, hey, you're going to have to prosecute this without this information because that's a protected CI, and we're going to make sure that part gets covered up. So could that happen?
That's true, but then why do we have Chief Fry? What was it? The third day in when that? Oh, well, we have the feds here. We got all these partners. We had the Pennsylvania authorities who helped us with the arrest. We got people over in Washington. We got people at Washington State University. But we're in charge. Remember when he said that? We're in charge. The MPD, not anybody else.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I think that what do we have? We have a suspicion based on evidence. We're not pulling this out of a hat. We can document this stuff. But what Juan is saying here, unfortunately, I hope he's wrong, but I'm worried that he's right, that we will never find out who the CI is or who the undercover was. And that's most unfortunate.
Yeah.
Kaylee, all the answers is what Papa's saying. If it didn't have all the answers, Kaylee's phone would have been produced just like anybody else's phone was produced. And how did this goes back to one of the people in chat was saying, how was the family able to get into Kaylee's phone so quickly?
Yeah.
to find out that there were texts and there was this 17-minute contact at first. Remember when they had said early on, oh, that was a booty call. You know, she's contact. It wasn't Kaylee to JD. It was JD to Kaylee, what we found out much later. And, be able to get in and get that information if they don't have a password.
Yeah. Well, yeah, right. And that's the thing. Like, Olivia admitted that they had access to account information, but not necessarily the phone device itself. So how much did they see on the, like you said, would the account information show who placed the call? Was it JD or was it Kaylee that placed the call? Wouldn't the account information show which direction that phone call went and who initiated it? Probably.
Right. So Lee, 2 people were acting differently in that house. From what your best recollection, was it 2 people that remained in the house after Kaylee went back home, or was it just 2 of the people who were renters in that house?
Well, if you're talking, that's a good point. But if you're talking about Steve Gonzalez's comment, he said 2 of the victims. So now the question is Steve referring to Bethany and Dylan as victims, or does he mean deceased people? Because he did say 2 of the victims' behavior. So now one could argue the survivors are also victims of this crime. Well, so is that the answer or not? But
count 1 burglary with the intent to commit a felony.
Right.
That's where they're victims, and that's why Kohberger is getting in right now and wanting a trial so that things can get straightened out and be out in the public. And another thing that he said, I very much recommend anybody, if you haven't seen it, don't just look at what he's filed in post-conviction relief on the docket. Search for his statement, because he did before he even thanked his family, he thanked people in the general public who supported him. You know, and supported him quest for the truth. And however you feel, and I don't know, I wasn't there. I don't know Kohberger. You know, I never met him. I don't know if he was an accessory before or after the fact, perpetrator. You know, what I do know is I find it highly sus that the hiding of the case. But he wants it. He said, put the DP back on the table.
Yeah.
You know, put it back on the table. All of the rumors that we were told, oh, he went into this plea deal because he was afraid of the DP. Oh, he didn't want family members to test. He put his family members right in the middle of this case. He put them in the middle of this case. So that's one. And he's saying, hey, give me a trial. Bring on the DP. I'm ready to go to trial tomorrow.
Yep.
Why are people on the other side running in the other direction, not wanting a trial?
Yeah. And according, you know, and if you read between the lines, Kohberger's fear wasn't ever the death penalty. It was the fear of conditions living on death row. So it wasn't that he was afraid of facing potential death. It was, he was told, oh, the conditions on death row are going to be horrendous. You know, you can buy yourself some time, have a little bit comfier cell, and still basically just make a formality with the guilty plea, and we'll take care of this another way. And that was basically what he was avoiding, was the conditions that he was told were going to be horrific on death row. It wasn't the fear of death itself. It was just, I think, making a little bit better conditions for himself while he waited for justice to be served out.
Now, Lee, you have raised yet another important point, as you do over and over again. All right, worried about death row conditions on DP row. It'll give us some time. Was he anticipating that there was going to be an appeal?
Yeah, I think so.
If he wanted an appeal, and they did not, then we're right in Garza, as smack dab bullseye, Garza versus Idaho territory. And it might make sense. I also have looked at, I've just spent, you know, the past year, what the heck caused him to change plea? Looking at the document, looking at the backwards, forwards, up and down. The only hearing he never appeared at since the beginning of the case was at that November. It was November 7th or thereabouts. Remember when they had the hearing before Hippler, and you had Thompson there, and then it was the 3 defense attorneys. It was on Zoom. Only hearing Kohberger never appeared at. Could you imagine if he would have appeared? They said, oh, well, he has said he doesn't want you to go to the transport him. It's like it was supposed to be a Zoom hearing. Where are they going to transport him? From the conference room where they have Zoom. They were at the IOC. What if he would have been there and he would have said, how's my appeal going?
Right. They're not going to put him on camera where he can say something like that and make everybody lose their shit.
Right.
It was the motion for the money that was going to the victims, restitution, that they wanted more, and there was a big hearing, and she had said, yeah, Kohberger's not going to be. We're going to speak for him. And I said, geez, that's odd. He's been to every hearing since the beginning of the case. He's present there. Hey, Judge Hippler, how's my appeal?
That would have been a bomb. That would have been, yeah. That's why, yeah.
Yeah, but best keep him at the IDOC. Again, pure speculation here. Pure speculation.
Let's wrap up for the evening. I appreciate Kathy, you coming on and joining us. It always makes the conversation even more lively. So that's awesome. And you've got all these great points, and I can't wait to because I know you're watching dockets and I'm trying to watch dockets. So between the two of us, hopefully we'll have lots of cool shit to talk about in the future. Robin, thank you as well for holding down the fort last night when I wasn't feeling well. I appreciate that very much. You and one taking care of things. That was amazing. And thank you for all that you do for the show, which is a lot. Now you got a job, so it's making it even harder. The last thing I'll say real quick, just as a close, is I do have members only content. And again, the theme of tonight was, why can't we talk about anything but Idaho 4? As an example, I have 2 book series that I'm doing that are all held as member-only content, because if I put it out public, it would just die and it would hurt the channel really bad. So I'm covering the book The Devil at His Elbow, about the Alec Murdaugh's first trial. I talked to Ali Benevento, by the way, today about this, and I told her that I was reading this book, and she said, oh, that's great. I love Valerie, because Valerie's the author here, but she sat with Valerie in the courtroom. So she said, I'm so glad you're reading that book. And I said, oh my God, I got so many questions about South Carolina now. Fuck that place. She just laughed.
Interesting.
I'm doing that book series, and I'm also doing this book, which is not an attractive book cover, but this is Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s, which is getting more and more interesting as it goes. So if you're interested in that, it's like $3, I think, to be a member. You can get access to large amounts of me covering every single chapter and all my thoughts and rants and rages and yelling. Or if enough people show interest, I might make some of these public and try and see if people would be interested in this series if it goes public, but it can't kill the channel. So that's the worst part. So thank you all for coming. Thank you, Kathy, for joining us again.
My pleasure. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Do you have anything you want to say parting, Robin?
Good night, sweetheart. Well.
Nice.
Good night, everyone. Have a good one.
All right, take it easy. Have a good one. Later.